Hello, I'm live for this mid-morning taste challenge. Welcome, and I appreciate you watching. I have two bourbon whiskeys. This is very Old Barton, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, bottled. It says by Barton Distilling Company in Frankfort, Kentucky, but that's actually Buffalo Trace. Barton Distillery is in Bardstown, Kentucky, so it's almost assuredly distilled at the very old, Barton 1792 distillery, and then sent over to Buffalo Trace for bottling. I don't think they have a bottling facility at Barton anymore. 86 proof. The old label before Sazerac bought it in 2009 used to say 6-year age, 86 proof, but after Sazerac bought Barton in 2009, I guess you could say it got cheapened. All right, this is in one of their standard bottles that you see, Hartley Brandy, 2-star bourbon. This is the old Weller bottles. Weller bourbon used to be in these bottles. Okay, it's really like a cognac bottle, but they use it. Okay. This is Bird Dog, introduced in 2010. Now, very Old Barton, 1964. 1964, 2010, Bird Dog. This is the Irish Setter bottle, they call it, for obvious reasons. This is not listed on the website, although the website has a discussion that they make regular bourbon, because Bird Dog is mainly well known for their flavored whiskeys. It's really where all their money comes from, the flavored whiskey. But they do put out a number of unflavored regular bourbons, but they don't describe them on the website. Now, I found this at Walmart on closeout for $10 plus tax. I'm not kidding about that. $10 plus tax. It sounds crazy. I wasn't looking to buy Bird Dog. I mean, I would have bought it eventually, I guess, but for $10, yeah, I took care of that. And this Barton was $11.99 at a liquor store in Pascagoula, Mississippi. I've never seen very Old Barton anywhere in Louisiana, in fact. Never anywhere in Louisiana. So I did bourbon, and then I had to circle back. I did bourbon, then I moved on to Canadian blended whiskey, but I had to circle back because I realized I had forgotten to taste challenge the very Old Barton against a couple of bourbons. I had this in a lower shelf cabinet, so that's why I overlooked it. 86 proof, no age statement, so we know it's aged at least 4 years. Now, the Bird Dog has a real wooden cork, a real wooden cap and a real cork. It's bottled for Western Spirits. Western Spirits does not make it, and they don't bottle it. It's produced by Three Springs Bottling Company of Bowling Green, Kentucky, for Western Spirits. So it's a sourced whiskey. It's independently bottled. Yes, a good number of American. I gotta put the correct name. Three Springs. I knew it was Three Springs. Yeah, there are a number of American. They're both amber, so that won't matter. A number of American companies don't actually distill anything. They just, they have a website. You might have a warehouse where they store stuff, and they basically just buy whiskey from other people and bottle it under their name. How's it going, Ron? Fandango Friday this week, says Joe Hill. Not this week. Came across some Schmidt beer. I've never had it. May go back and grab a case. Yeah, I've had Schmidt beer. I purchased it on road trips. I've got some cans over there, bottles up there. So typical stuff, good, but typical American adjunct lager. If you've had Pabst Blue Ribbon or Miller High Life or Coors or Budweiser, you know the flavor, but or Rolling Rock, but it's good. I can't say otherwise. I've bought Schmidt at least twice, but I think it's like three times over the years on road trips. It's one of those old regional brands that sort of died away, but might still be produced here or there, like Jack's Beer, which made sort of a comeback in New Orleans, and although under a different producer. And we'll see what happens with Dixie Beer if that ever returns, due to mismanagement, discontinued in 2021 due to gross mismanagement, to say the least. All right. I think very Old Barton's going to win. It's 86 proof. It's aged. Well, I don't know if it's aged longer because neither one of these have an age statement. So they could be 4, 5, 6 years. They're at least 4 years. It's straight bourbon. This one is not claiming to be straight bourbon. Don't know why. That's a little strange because it is aged at least 2 years. And it's all from Kentucky. So I don't know why they don't use the terminology straight. But I can't answer that question. Bird Dog might. Yeah, smells very standard. Any off aromas or anything like that? No, just smells like unsalted popcorn, not burnt or anything, just like corn. Sweet corn, Libby's, Del Monte, your regular corn, just, the aroma. Same, but I think a little more char here, a little more charred, like burnt popcorn. And I'm thinking that's the very Old Barton. Once again, I don't know, but I'm about to find out. I think the proof will give it away. 86 proof versus 80. That's pretty close, though. That is just such a stereotypical bourbon flavor. Sweet corn, sugar water, mild char, corn flour, vanilla, maybe some fruitcake fruit that you get in those Mylar bags. It's just very typical. Honeysuckle nectar, very typical. You say, well, that's just standard bourbon. We all know the flavor. My answer would be yes, that is standard bourbon, and we do all know the flavor if we've had bourbon enough times. Nothing special, but certainly nothing bad, just typical, average, regular, good. But the average, but remember now, let's take this into account. Your average bourbon can very easily score in the 90s, okay? So the average American bourbon is a high grade product. And I don't care what the cost is. Look, I don't make the product. I'm just telling you what I'm tasting. So can you find a bad bourbon? I've heard people say that. I've never encountered that problem, but I've heard people say it. Yeah. Very standard. Lighter, though. I think a little lighter, a little thinner, more watered down, 80 proof. So what I run down Bird Dog, what I try to seek out Bird Dog. I don't know why anybody would do that. You say, well, everybody got Bird Dog. I got the vanilla, I got the cocoa, and I got the fruity pebble version. I got the vanilla cream, the banana. But wait, those are the flavored ones. No knock against those because I know they're very popular. I know the blackberry's been very popular since the Crown Royal blackberry. But this is the regular bourbon. No flavors, no coloring. Okay, so it's very standard though. Very, if you want to say, basic, very basic. Like I was talking about Rolling Rock beer. I'm looking at cans right there. They're basic. They're good. Now, people that get on the internet talking about Rolling Rock, it made me gag. It made me all depressed. I almost threw up. It's like, no, it won't make you gag. If Rolling Rock beer makes you depressed, you might want to seek mental health treatment. And it's not going to be off-putting or gross or anything. It's just regular, like Rolling Rock is just like very light because it's like they say on the can, extra pale lager. It's extra pale, so it's very straw, very light in aroma, in appearance, and even in alcohol, 4.4%. I think my favorite go-to style beer is a Czech Pilsner, crisp, flavorful, and refreshing, says Joe Hill. I've noticed more and more craft companies making Pilsners now. I have noticed that too. Some with mixed results, let's say, with mixed results. But some are very nice, and some are from Louisiana. Okay, I still have one can of the Mardi Gras Pils left over. And that's a jewel, really. Not up to the European standard quite, but it's still very nice. This comes across as heavier, darker, more intense, more body, more flavor. It's the very Old Barton. It's got to be. It's got to be the very Old Barton. Actually, I think that was the Bird Dog. Kind of scary. Now, the Bird Dog Taste Challenge series, which I had overlooked Barton, the Bird Dog was mixed. The results were mixed, meaning I wasn't able to really consistently tell it apart from the others. Sometimes yeah, sometimes no. Then yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. So what did I show there? You say, well, because you're no good at tasting bourbon. That's what you showed. That could be the case. I don't believe so. I think it's just the reality of Bird Dog is not either better or worse than other American bourbons. It's just in the mix. You can start naming Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, Four Roses, Wild Turkey. I'm talking about all the standard ones, Wild Turkey 81, of course, and so forth. It just is in the mix. It doesn't stand out in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So that's even more of an argument of why you shouldn't seek it out. And like I said, I did not seek it out. I was not looking for it. I had no particular interest in it. I didn't have any particular disinterest in it. I knew it existed. You understand? I knew it was around, but I didn't care about it. It's kind of like with this one. I knew it was around, and I stumbled across it, $11.99. I bought it. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Don Corleone did this. Don Corleone did that. But when I ran across it at Walmart for $10, then my interest level increased by leaps and bounds, right? So I had virtually no interest in it, and I saw it for $10 on closeout. All of a sudden, I'm interested. So yeah, I bought it, and hasn't been a great, like, triumphal, like, oh, it's a great triumphant tasting series. No, nothing like that. But it hasn't been a catastrophe either. It's just kind of nice. Probably not exactly up to the level of the, well, I tied it with very Old Barton, but then who in the world runs around bragging on very Old Barton? I don't ever see that on the internet. I barely ever see it on the internet. Once again, not my problem. And this is not common. I'm talking about the regular bourbon. Now, if you look up bird dog, you might see 1,000 videos, but 99% of them will be flavored: blackberry, red berry, cherry, vanilla cream, banana Foster, all that stuff. I think they make a cinnamon version, of course. They just exist. You know what I'm saying? They're just out there. They exist. They're like every other run-of-the-mill bourbon. They exist, and they're fine. Would I be embarrassed to give this to somebody? No, I wouldn't be embarrassed. Just give it to them. It's a regular bourbon. Do what you want with it. You want to make a mint julep. You want to drink it neat at room temperature, which basically nobody does. Drink it on the rocks. Mix it with Dr. Pepper made with real sugar. Hopefully they'll do that, not the regular Dr. Pepper. But if they did regular Dr. Pepper, fine, But that kind of thing. Just keep emphasizing a basic utilitarian usage of it, or application of it. And it would be the same for very Old Barton. When I saw it at that Pascagoula, Mississippi liquor store, were they making any kind of great claims on it? No. It was just on the shelf. Yeah, I can tell now that is the very Old Barton. I don't know how I got it all confused, but it's got more body, more proof. Legendary. There's probably people mostly in Kentucky or Tennessee who say, maybe West Virginia, who say, oh yeah, my grandpa used to drink that when I was 5. He drank that in 1975. He always had very Old Barton. You say, which one? Was it the 100 proof at 86 or the 90 or the 80? Oh, I don't know. He would mix it with iced tea, that kind of thing. They always had that around, which would be very believable for Kentucky, West Virginia, or like I say, Tennessee. Now for Louisiana, it would not be, since I've never seen it in my whole life, actually. But, in Louisiana, it would be something like, I'm thinking about something that people around here would drink all the time in a very utilitarian manner. I don't think it would be bourbon, really. Now, my father said one time they were having a dance at the elementary school here, because they had a pretty big auditorium. Oh, it was obviously some fundraiser. Could have been the Rotary Club, Knights of Columbus, something. But they would go to that. They would just go to it because they like to go to it. It would last till around 1 a.m. Pay your money, which back then was $4, which translated into our money today would be like, well, about $24. But money used to be worth more back then. But and his friend said, buy some bourbon, buy some bourbon. Now my father knows nothing about bourbon. Like if you asked him what makes a bourbon, he would say, it starts with a letter B. Like that would be his level of expertise. But they said, buy bourbon. Okay. So he bought some Jack Daniel's Green Label. He told me, he said, I went to the liquor store, which probably meant he went to Winn-Dixie grocery store. And he told the lady behind the counter, they got a green label and a black. He's telling me this on the phone, a green and a black label. The lady says, yeah. That's the explanation. Yeah. So my father said, oh, the green label's cheaper. Yeah. I'll get that one. So he buys the green label. Then he goes to the dance and the guys are out there. They're like in their mid-20s, late 20s. 28, 29. Okay. They say, why you brought that? He said, y'all told me to bring bourbon. And they were complaining or something. And he said, you want me to bring it? I know my father would have said something. You want me to bring it back? I'll drink it. I'll put it in the trunk. Oh, no, we drank it. He said one guy drank it so much he was throwing up in the car. My father said, I'm glad it wasn't my car. I didn't care. But he said he remembered the green label Jack Daniels, which is no longer sold in Louisiana, although you can get it all day long in Texas. So the whole point of that story is that's the kind of application of these things. Very basic, utilitarian, going to an event on a Saturday night. So, and my father, he doesn't drink at all anymore for 22 years, but he would never drink anything bourbon, scotch. I don't think he ever liked scotch, but he would never drink any of that neat at room temperature. Oh, no. It was ice cubes and orange juice, orange, probably more like orange soda, knee high, or what are the other famous orange soda pops? You know what they are. Orange Crush. Well, it's with the liquor mixed in. He would never drink it neat. He doesn't like anything like strong, like anything spicy hot with hot sauce. He thinks Crystal hot sauce is very hot. And I laughed. I told him, I said, I could drink Crystal hot sauce from the bottle, but he thinks it's very hot. But so, and that's what he would drink. And he might put, like a pineapple slice, like a real pineapple from the fridge in there and sip on that. But to drink it neat at room temperature like I'm doing now, no, impossible. He would never do that. And I would say most of my family would have never done that. Never. Although they probably consumed a lot more bourbon per ounce per day, per annum, per year, or per diem than I do. But yeah, that just drinking it neat at room is never part of the equation. But I personally like to drink it neat at room temperature. I think you get a lot more appreciation of what the product is. And I would not even feel comfortable putting little drops of water or ice, definitely not ice cubes in it. But that's just me, speaking for myself. Can't speak for other people. Phil says, good morning, Jay. Cheers. I have Glenmorangie triple cask. Have a nice Thursday. Oh, Glenmorangie. Oh, yes, Glenmorangie. That's where I broke one of the glasses. The damn bottle came down. It slipped out my hand. It came down on the glass, which is flimsy as paper. And shattered the glass. We had to kind of redo the whole video. Glenmorangie, I liked it. That's the 10-year aged. You're having the triple cask. I've not had that, but I like it. It's a little bland, kind of like Chivas Regal or the Dewar's. It's kind of bland, but I see there was a new Glenmorangie X, the X from the last 5 years or so. I've been looking to buy that. They say it's a mixer made for mixing. I'd like to try it neat just to see what it's like. And then there's so many Glenmorangie variants, 12-year, 14-year, 18-year, like you say, triple cask. So, well, of course, I'd like to try those. But, I was talking about my father and my family members. They have no interest. None. I could bring up any liquor brand. I'll be like saying, Cuddy Sark, J&B, Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, Crown Royal, Seagram 7, anything. Keep naming them. They'd be like, oh, yeah, I heard of that. Oh, yeah, we used to buy that. I know about that. Of course, who hasn't heard of that? But, but they don't care about it. It's just a product. it's like Band-Aid or gasoline or Burger King. They don't care about it. It's just they don't see why. Like, why would somebody be interested in that? Because it's just, and most of these people I'm talking about, they no longer drink any alcohol because, well, maybe in their heyday they might have, maybe they sampled a few too many and now they gotta dial it back so they can stay alive. You know, it sounds like a joke, but it's actually not really a joke. But anyway, yeah. So getting back to this regular bourbon, that was the whole point of that, like circular thing. They would say, yeah, regular old bourbon, but like most of my family members would not actually buy these two because most of my family members would regard those as what they would call off brands. I'm thinking about everybody, mother's side, father's side. Well, my mother's side, they might have done, but they say, I wouldn't bring that to a wedding. That's an off brand. Not that you could ever tell it apart from a regular brand. So they were sort of funny about it. Christmas party, Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, Christmas party, New Year's, Easter, Sunday, all the regular liquors they would have. Jim Beam, Bacardi, Jack Daniels, Johnny Walker, Takavaka. Well, you laugh at that, but that's like kind of a thing in Louisiana, like kind of a regular. A lot of people drink that in Louisiana. Dixie beer, they would drink that. Falstaff beer till it was discontinued. Of course, Budweiser, Busch beer. Jack's beer. Coors, no, because we couldn't get it in Louisiana until 81. So that would, well, West Louisiana, west of the Mississippi. So, but what I mean is that they would, and it was wine, it would be like Carlo Rossi or Almaden or Behringer or Sutter Home. Or you say, oh boy, y'all are really stepping up, huh? Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of stuff they would buy. So, and they would drink it, and then in the 90s they drank Corbett Canyon. But you know what I'm saying? No, I mean, so but those are like standard brands. But if you start bringing in the other stuff that gets like paranoid, up until 1980, Schlitz, like everybody would drink Schlitz beer, Schlitz. Then after 1980, you'd bring Schlitz, and people say, Schlitz, that's some kind of a beer. And I remember somebody telling me that in 1985. I was like, what? I was riding on Interstate 10 westbound in a Ford Econoline. And I told the guy, I won't name him, I said, how come you never hear about Schlitz beer anymore? This is 85. I said, why you never hear about Schlitz beer anymore? Because like as a child, it was everywhere, all the time. He said, what? Schlitz, that's a beer. And I looked at the person driving the van. I said, I'm like looking at him like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? And I couldn't believe it, because just as a child, it was just everywhere. You would buy, they had Schlitz calendars, football calendars, the football preview with the schedule, all the games. They would have Schlitz. Well, anything you could have at a grocery store, like the little insulators or the calendar for the year, or a sweepstakes, enter to get a free ticket to the game, the New Orleans Saints Green Bay Packers game, because Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Schlitz game with a meal at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It'd be that kind of stuff. And then it just like faded. I couldn't get over it. But anyway, let's look at the last comments. Um, Chase Ferguson says, loving the whiskey and bourbon reviews. Oh, I'm glad. Well, I don't know if you're going to love the Irish whiskey reviews. We got Irish whiskey coming up next week, not this week, but next week. I got Clan McGregor. That's Scotch. I have the proper number 12, which is controversial to say the least, but I bought it. I figured it's a big product. It's out there on the market for the last almost 10 years. I paid about $27, but that'll be the Irish whiskey. Would be doing Irish whiskey, and I think I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in it. Oh, you'll get some negative comments. There'll be some people coming in about, oh no, oh yeah, and they'll be all triggered, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for me. Might be a problem for you, won't be a problem for me. But I also enjoy the beer reviews, but it's bittersweet for me since beer gives me a terrible heartburn. Oh, and you're not the only one. I know other people say when they drink beer, it gives them either a terrible headache, which I've never had a problem with, horrible heartburn, or acid reflux, which I can't believe it, because I didn't think beer would do such a thing. But I know other people say, oh no, it's horrible, Dual reviews are entertaining, says Herbie. Yes, we have more dual reviews coming up after Easter Sunday. Many lined up. Burley Sullivan says, you. Hey, Burley, cheers back to you. So Chase says, I love Irish whiskey too, even though I am Scottish. Well, not too far away. Scotland, Northeast, Ireland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Southwest, sorry. Yeah, not too far away. I love Irish whiskey. I'm ashamed to say I've never tried Scotch. You never tried Scotch? Can't believe it. Any suggestions? Well, about 1,000. About 1,000. So viewers, where should he start if he likes Scotch? Or I'm sorry, if he wants to start tasting Scotch. Well, guess Chivas Regal running you about $30. I can't speak for England prices, probably cheaper there, or Scotland, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. United Kingdom runs about 35 here, might be 30 there, because you don't have to pay for the delivery fees, and the U.S. dollar is not doing so well against the British pound. $130 US to make a British pound. That's sickening. The British Empire wins again, but true. It's actually true. But anyway, no, yeah. I mean, all kidding aside, I usually bring in like a lot of chicanery and all that, but I would say Chivas Regal, Cuddy Sark, Just Ordinary and Brooks J&B, Dewar's, the white label. If it's single malt, I would say the Glenlivet 12-year or Family Reserve, or the well, Tomatin is a good one. Tomatin, Legacy. Any of those things, they're very basic. They're very nice, though. Beautiful products. Yeah, I would say any of those. I wouldn't go splurging on paying an outlandish amount of money. In fact, you could spend a really low amount and find some pretty decent Scotch whiskeys. I would try them before I read the reviews. Because if you read the reviews, it'll make you think bad things. And a lot of these things you'll think are not accurate. So yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the availability is in Northern Ireland, Scotland, across the sea, a very short channel would be. So, but in the United States, it seems like we get more Scotch whiskey than Scotland gets, you know. Most of the ones I named are very mild and mellow, very mild and mellow, just easygoing. I'm not saying bold or full of like intricate flavors, like, oh, it's charred oak, it's peat, it tastes like a compost pile. It's, no, the ones I named are very mild, mellow. Dimple Pinch, I think in Scotland it's called Pinch. I think in the United States it's called Dimple. That's a really old brand. Okay. Do any Glen? Yeah, the Glenlivet. Any of the Glenlivets are a good, safe bet. I think the Glenlivets are a good, safe bet because they're not harsh. So they're not like some people say they're bland, and I get that. I kind of go along with that, but on the other hand, the Glenlivet from Chivas Brothers, who owns it now, but the Glenlivet, oh no, I can't think of anything negative to say about those. I cannot think of anything bad. Nope, sorry. All right, well, y'all take care. So those would be a good one, a good handful to start with, Chase. So Bird Dog doesn't exactly excite the world, but if it'll focus, yeah, it's all right. Very Old Barton, same thing. They're about equal. I'm not saying that because I got it wrong. I'm just saying that because that's why I got it wrong, because they're about equal. All right, but yeah, the Very Old Barton has a little bit more char, a little heavier body, little heavier body, a little bit more character, like a little bit. So yeah, I only paid $1.99 difference. So yeah, the whole thing is sort of a wash. Maxwell says, hello, Ron. Hello to you, Maxwell, in the Russian Federation. So now get ready, because starting on might be about 5 days scheduling, about 5 days from now, maybe four. Yeah, maybe four. We're going to go into Irish whiskey, and I have so many, and you could argue too many. I would agree with that. Irish whiskeys, Paddy's, Bushmills, Jameson, of course. Oh, so many. But they're very good. They're just delightful. So I have all these Irish whiskeys going to battle against the Cage Fighter, which I have no interest in that. The proper number 12. And we'll see how proper number 12 does. My thinking is that proper number 12 will do better than you may expect. Because you say, oh, proper number 12. That's a celebrity whiskey, or, well, it was, until he got fired from his own company. But, I get that. I get all that. But I think the proper number 12, as the current bottle shows, because there have been some changes, but I think the proper number 12, introduced in 2018, is going to definitely compete in these 10 or 12 challenges. It won't dominate, but it will compete, assuredly compete. All right, and then it's on to Scotland, to merry old Scott, merry old Queen of Scots land. All right. Thank you. And I am Scottish descent, not actually from there. I'm here in St. John Parish. Thanks for the Scotch suggestions. You're welcome. All right. Chase Manhattan Bank. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.